Good afternoon, colleagues. Today we are holding another Council for Science and Education. The issues we will discuss today are systemic and fundamental. During our discussions today, we will focus on concrete solutions and the specific structural mechanisms that are required to significantly and rapidly accelerate the overall development of the advanced technologies of the future. To do this, we must target priority tasks and effectively integrate Russia's strategic scientific assets. These include research schools and advanced digital computing resources. These are unique bioresource collections started by Nikolai Vavilov and other outstanding scientists. Let me remind you that Peter the Great actually started collecting them. If I remember correctly, in 1714, in the Kunstkammer in St. Petersburg. The pharmaceutical garden. Exactly. The pharmaceutical garden, yes. And later, Nikolai Vavilov made an outstanding, truly world-class contribution. And during the Soviet era, it kept developing. It is also worth remembering the Great Patriotic War, when Leningrad scientists died of hunger but did not eat a single grain or potato from the collection. All of this has been gathered for decades and centuries, generation after generation. And, of course, this includes a wide network of mega-science facilities. These highly sophisticated and ultra-complex engineering giants provide the critical foundations that allow for conducting advanced scientific research and breakthrough experiments on a truly global and planetary scale. Such a unified architecture will help us uncover knowledge that is still hidden. To work with a vast array of data about the physical world, the structure of matter, organic and inorganic substances, and use this to create entirely new products, materials, and complex systems. I must stress again, the speed of creating and, of course, implementing innovations literally determines everything in today's world. It directly determines our national sovereignty, economic growth, and key civil and defense tasks, all of which have now become highly intertwined from a technological standpoint. Fundamental research has always had dimensions linked to national defense and security, and to developing future technologies and military equipment. Even though these specific topics are not on the immediate agenda for today's council meeting, it is crucial that we keep them constantly in mind as we work on setting our scientific goals in the fields of telecommunications, quantum and biotechnology, space exploration, and new energy sources, which includes nuclear fusion. A comprehensive development program for mega-science facilities is designed to solve these large-scale, long-term tasks. As a direct consequence of this, Russia has undoubtedly established itself as an undisputed global leader in the development and management of such highly complex scientific research infrastructure. Allow me to remind all of you of this fact, and I believe that absolutely everyone who is involved in this process remembers it well, that the initial decisions to launch this entire mega-science program were actually made right here in Akademgorodok during our council meeting back in 2018. Valery Ivanovich just recalled that this was the result of my decisions. I'd like to pass the puck back to him. Every single one of my decisions was based entirely on the specific requests and formulations that you put forward, focusing closely on what you deemed to be the most promising and highly important directions for both basic scientific and applied research. Well, everything worked out. It is done. I just saw the facility. It's truly impressive, really impressive. And we will certainly continue this work, though I will say more on that in a moment. Back then, we discussed creating the Siberian ring source of photons, among other things. And, as I said, we have just seen it. It is now one of the world's most powerful particle accelerators, unmatched in certain parameters. It lets us peer into the world of atoms and molecules. We expect its first research stations to be commissioned by the end of this year. For their construction, Russia independently developed about 30 types of critical equipment. How many now? 7 are running, as Boris Ivanovich said, but 30 were planned, and maybe even more will appear. We expect its first research stations to be commissioned by the end of this year. In order to facilitate the construction of these new research stations, the Russian Federation has had to independently design and develop approximately 30 different types of highly critical equipment, which are items that partner countries from certain nations had ultimately refused to supply to them. Yes, in this regard, we had to, as they say, push back the Skiff launch schedule, but we became even stronger. This is without any doubt a clear-cut case where we have emerged significantly stronger than before, successfully built up our own in-house technological expertise, and firmly strengthened our national technological sovereignty. Alongside existing competencies, we gained additional technological keys. It is absolutely crucial that we actively take on ambitious new projects, effectively scale our very best solutions, and ensure that the advanced scientific technologies we have already created never sit idle or begin to degrade. We must support production teams and realize all the plans we discussed back in 2018, some of which are being implemented. In this regard, I propose defining further steps to build new and modernize existing megascience infrastructure. Such modernization is underway at the Kurchatov Institute. Meanwhile, in Protvino, all of the necessary documentation has already been fully prepared, and from what I understand, the final proposals are currently in the process of being completed. At the Far Eastern Federal University on Russky Island and in Gatchina, work is progressing actively, apparently in 2 directions. In short, work is in full swing. The second point I wanted to make, the logic of scientific and technological development requires new approaches to managing and funding megascience infrastructure. Its expansion and use must be a priority when planning the national science budget. Of course, we cannot let the scientific results we achieve hang in the air and remain unused. Doing so would result in the squandering of immense financial resources, alongside throwing away the years of intensive and dedicated hard work put in by our scientists and collaborative research teams. Work which is essentially priceless. You could certainly say that. We must establish a system in which our domestic businesses can directly commission breakthrough scientific solutions and advanced technologies, while fully committing themselves to building highly successful and competitive products based on those developments. And that is actually what is happening in biology, medicine, and pharmaceuticals. And in material science and many other fields. Colleagues were just talking about this. There are already orders and interested enterprises. Our businesses are showing great interest in this. This interest is fully shared by the state, which is actively involved across a diverse range of key sectors, spanning from national defense and chemistry to material science, alongside the active participation of our major energy corporations. Again, all these resources must serve both fundamental science and our economy, healthcare, and other social sectors. Third, I want to emphasize we must continue to pay special attention to national centers for genetic resources. Their biological collections of plants, animals, and microorganisms are, without exaggeration, unique. It is absolutely essential that we secure substantial financial backing and various other forms of support for the development programs of these centers. This will enable them to significantly expand their research in genetics, create highly advanced products in the fields of bioeconomics, pharmaceuticals, and food security, and build a robust talent pool capable of addressing both our present and future challenges. Speaking of talent, I was delighted to meet with young scientists and high school graduates. Honestly, I did not want to leave. They are interesting, very promising young people looking to the future. These are precisely the people who are focused on the future. Furthermore, the city of Novosibirsk has successfully created a truly unique educational and scientific environment that guides individuals from their early school years right through to university and then to full-scale research. Let me add that all of Russia's data on genetic resources of animals, plants, and microorganisms will be combined into a national genetic database. The decision has been made. According to current estimates, approximately 10 petabytes of digital data will be uploaded on an annual basis. To put this massive figure into perspective for our broad audience, that is about 5 trillion pages of printed text. Needless to say, it is absolutely crucial that the decisions made in this regard do not lead to the creation of any form of excessive monopoly, nor should they place obstacles in the path of our researchers, preventing them from freely working with these essential materials and collaborating effectively with their professional colleagues stationed abroad. Fourth, such an incredibly vast genome database, combined with this state-of-the-art megascience infrastructure, generates an immense volume of scientific data. This valuable information must be directly utilized to drive research and development forward, while also being used to train Russia's sovereign artificial intelligence models, including both fundamental systems and highly specialized, industry-specific applications. So, our scientific, educational, and high-tech companies must get access to these unique databases, as well as industrial enterprises. To do this, we must link all scientific and strategic assets with supercomputers and sovereign cloud technologies. Essentially, we need to build a unified platform ecosystem for Russia's scientific and technological development. Furthermore, it is absolutely essential that we ensure its comprehensive security and operational resilience, a process which must include safeguarding all data that constitutes the sovereign property of the Russian Federation. Fifth, successfully resolving these critical tasks is absolutely essential if we are to significantly boost the overall efficiency and impact of Russian scientific research and development across every region of the country. We must support this by dramatically improving the quality of higher education. I have just spoken about the progress here. In this regard, I stress we must continue our course of building advanced, strong universities and research centers in Russia's regions. Where appropriate, we must consolidate the potential of scientific and higher education institutions solving similar research and teaching tasks. The goal is to improve education quality, create modern conditions for teaching and study, and boost support for talented researchers. The best departments, laboratories, and strong teams capable of achieving major results, conducting research and training students and postgraduates at the intersection of various scientific fields. Forming such powerful regional scientific and educational centers and implementing their development programs will naturally require additional funding. I ask the government to allocate these funds in the upcoming 3-year federal budget draft. Furthermore, I would also like to ask the regional authorities to provide their active and full support to these centers, given that they serve as powerful engines of economic growth, key drivers of overall regional development, and sources of great new opportunities for both our youth and our young researchers. In this regard, there is another decision. An advanced scientific, educational, and social infrastructure is now taking shape in the regions, partly through programs building campuses, universities, and mega-science facilities. There should be no exclusive, closed access to it. On the contrary, the goal is for these modern capabilities to be shared by scientists, touchers, students, universities, and research institutes from all over Russia. I ask the government to design all the necessary organizational rights and mechanisms. In conclusion, I would like to add one more thing. To achieve practical, truly breakthrough results, we need the utmost concentration of effort from all participants in Russia's scientific and technological development. An example of such collaborative work, I have already mentioned it, but as we are here, it is worth repeating, is shown by the colleagues who worked on creating the Siberian ring source of photons. These are staff from the Budka Institute of Nuclear Physics, the Boryskov Institute of Catalysis, Novosibirsk State University, Rosatom, and the Kurchatov Institute. Its president, Mikhail Valentinovich Kovalchuk, is the ideologue and, one might say, the engine behind the creation of the megascience infrastructure. Let us begin our proceedings here today by focusing our discussion on the plans for its future and further development.